Okay, good evening from London, and good evening from me, Dr. Dermot Hudson, and the SONGUN007 YouTube channel, and of course also uh, good evening from KFA UK and the British Group for the Study of the Juche idea. I hope that everyone can hear me. Uh, I'm seeing people sort of greet me on the chat, so I say hello, particularly to comrades from KFA Germany. It's great to see you on the chat. Uh, and tonight, I'm going to just speak about my recent trip to Germany at the kind invitation of KFA Germany, and also say uh, a little bit about the subject of class struggle in the DPRK, which is often thrown up by some ultra left critics of the DPRK. And this is a very misunderstood subject. So, I'm hoping to give a bit of clarification on it. Anyway, that my main thrust tonight is going to be about my trip to Germany. And basically, I visited Germany at the invitation of the Korean Friendship Association of Germany, KFA Germany, from the 29th of April to the 5th of May. And it was quite a trip. I'd actually only a week before, or 10 days before, actually returned from an epic visit to People's Korea, the land of Juche. So, in quick succession, I made another trip, this time to Germany, where I'd actually visited back in October 2022. And I left Heathrow in the early morning of the 29th of April. I'd actually started preparing to travel on the 28th of April. And, after clearing border control and picking up my bag, I was very surprised to be met when I'd arrived at Hanover Airport by not just one or two people, but by an actual official KFA Germany welcoming party of 5 people, complete with several DPRK flags and flowers for me, which I never ever expected. It was quite a moving welcome, and also full credit, top marks to KFA Germany for being able to mobilise their members just to welcome me at the airport in Hanover. This is quite impressive. I felt like I was being treated like a head of state. And very kindly, an excellent comrade in KFA Germany provided the use of her car for the visit, and also acted as my as like security for me. And I was taken by car to a town in the western part of Germany, not very far from the border with the Netherlands. In fact, I saw road signs for Amsterdam, and I was treated to excellent hospitality, such as a splendid barbecue and a nice tour of the local area, which actually included a windmill and also a lake. And of course, I'm a big fan of windmills, and I participated in a meeting of KFA Germany, and I presented the new chairman of KFA Germany with a gift, a model of the Tower of the Juche there. And I also gave a live stream whilst I was there, where I spoke about my visit to People's Korea and answered a number of questions. And this actually lasted for 3 hours, which was something incredible. I was very impressed with it, and, great to see that KFA Germany commands such active involvement. Probably the high point of the visit was to participate in the May Day march or May Day rally in the city of Kassel in central Germany, and march alongside KFA Germany comrades. We marched with DPRK flags, and I even made a short speech on a loud hailer. Generally, our presence was well received. Particularly by genuine anti-imperialists and genuine peace lovers. But we received some hostility from trendies and the fake left, who weren't very pleased to see our presence and sort of started trying to argue. However, and there was also a load of old grumblies, I think, from the SPD or the trade unions, who sort of were moaning about us speaking, but we didn't take any notice. And another participant in the march said that he supported us. Afterwards, a local KFA member treated us to a tour of the city. I had not realised that the city was associated with the Brothers Grimm. However, we saw reminders of Germany's horrendous past of Nazism in the form of a Holocaust memorial. And we also saw the platform at Kassel Station, where some of the victims of the Holocaust were put on trains to concentration camps. It's a reminder that this must never happen again. And we should also stress the point here that the DPRK is a profoundly anti-fascist people's state, and that we in KFA have a policy of zero tolerance towards fascists and Nazism, fascists and Nazis. We also visited the Ernst Thälmann Memorial Center in Hamburg. Ernst Thälmann was the leader of the old Communist Party of Germany, KPD, which during the 1930s was actually the biggest communist party in the world outside the USSR, and a serious contender for power in Germany. However, the party was brutally suppressed by the Nazis, and its leader, Ernst Thälmann, was murdered in a concentration camp by the Nazis. And my understanding is that he was killed shortly before the Soviet Red Army actually liberated the camp. And the killing was a very politically motivated act to stop Taumann becoming the leader of a future unified socialist Germany. And visiting East Berlin, we saw reminders of the past when the eastern part of Germany was a socialist state, a workers' and peasant state, the German Democratic Republic, which had been on and off a good friend of people's career. There was a complicated period in the relationship in the early 60s when a delegate of the Workers' Party Korea was prevented from addressing the Congress of the ruling Socialist Unity Party of Germany. However, later on, there was exchange and cooperation between the two countries. Of course, the GDR provided its citizens with sort of high level of social benefits unseen in the capitalist world. And, I was told that housing in the GDR was only about, 50 old GDR marks per month for rent. And you compare this with now, where in Berlin apartments have sky high rents. I mean, of course, one cannot be too nostalgic about the GDR. It was, after all, revisionist and liberal, and that is the reason why it collapsed. Whereas the DPRK, guided by Juche and being a profoundly anti-revisionist state, was able to survive and prosper. We visited the DPRK embassy in Berlin and met the ambassador of the DPRK to Germany. And later we had an excellent meal at the Volkskammer restaurant, which is a GDR-themed restaurant in East Berlin. And we also saw a number of monuments in East Berlin. One thing that surprised me was when I was at the Brandenburg Gate. Someone came up to me and said, "Are you Dr. Dermot Hudson?" And I was quite surprised by this. I couldn't believe it. But it was actually Dutch fans of this YouTube channel who had recognized me. Something quite surprising. And, I think this is testimony to the work done by this channel and by KFA in Germany and the UK and other parts of the world. During the visit, I was deeply impressed, not just by the hospitality of KFA Germany, which was truly excellent, but also by the militancy and efficiency of KFA Germany. And we've got to realize that KFA Germany is defending people's career with no ifs or buts in very difficult conditions in Germany, which is actually a NATO member, which is actually an imperialist country, and is a country saturated with anti-communism, liberalism, decadence and cynicism. And you've got to remember, in Germany, as in other imperialist countries are, uh, the so-called left, what people call the left, are also just as anti-DPRK as the right. There's actually no real difference between them. So it was very impressive to see the work of KFA Germany, particularly with their presence on the May Day March and with their meeting and the live stream and different visits. And members of KFA Germany were prepared to travel long distances across the country to be at KFA events. I think that's a very important thing to bear in mind. In KFA UK can learn a lot from the style of KFA Germany and follow their example. I think, we need more energy in KFA UK, more people turning up events. People need to forget about watching TV, playing computer games, doing gardening, shopping, walking the dog, all these kind of banal activities. People have got to forget about them and, start turning up in big numbers to our events. In fact, as someone during the visit observed, we've got a Telegram channel with 461 subscribers. Just think if 10% of those turned up at events, we'd have nearly 50 people. Anyway, so all in all, I think it was a very great visit. I was very sad to leave KFA, to leave Germany and return to the UK. I was seen off at Hanover Airport by the chairman of KFA Germany and the organisation secretary of KFA Germany. Say a sad to part from them, but I hope to be back to Germany very soon. And I'm sure that relations of cooperation between KFA UK and KFA Germany will reach new heights. So that's the part of my presentation, which looks at the subject of my visit to Germany. And now I'm going to speak a bit about a subject that's misunderstood quite a lot. It's a subject of class struggle in the DPRK, the continuation of class struggle under socialism. And I think there's a lot of misunderstandings about that. And there's a lot of rubbish put out on places like Twitter and elsewhere about, the DPRK abandoned class struggle. And this has been put about by ultra-left opponents of the DPRK who serve imperialism just like revisionists and CIA agents. And first of all, need to clarify what we actually mean about by class struggle in the DPRK, in a socialist society. When we say class struggle, we don't mean the struggle between classes, because in socialist countries, antagonistic classes have been abolished. The capitalist exploiter class and landlord class have been eliminated, and you've got a socialist society composed of socialist working people. Of course, there are differences between workers and between farmers. there is that difference, but it is not an antagonistic class contradiction. Far from it. And the DPRK is, of course, based on single-hearted unity. Now, it is a fact that although socialism eliminates antagonistic classes, in fact, class struggle continues under socialism, but takes a different form. The class struggle is against remainders of the former exploiting class who, don't, who once socialism is established, do not give up. They scheme and fight to try and regain their former positions and to restore the capitalist system. Therefore, there needs to be a sharp class struggle against these elements, and also the struggle against capitalist and imperialist ideology is a class struggle. However, so the ultra-left on Twitter and elsewhere have tried to say that the DPRK abandoned such a class struggle, like the Soviet Union did in the early 60s when it declared itself to be a, quote, a state of the whole people, unquote, which of course is revisionism and is nonsense. And in fact, President Kim Il-sung himself said, and I quote, "Today there are two kinds of dictatorship in our era. One is the dictatorship of the bourgeoisie, and the other is the dictatorship of the proletariat." I think, end of quotation. I think this makes things totally crystal clear. And President Kim Il-sung himself, in his work, 1967 work, on questions of the period of transition from capitalism to socialism and the dictatorship of the proletariat, explained how this class struggle does continue under socialism. And he said, I quote, "Also within our social system, subversive counter-revolutionary influences infiltrate from without, and survivors of the overthrown exploited class agitate from within. So the class struggle is necessary to suppress these counter-revolutionary activities. In this way, there is, in a socialist society, a form of class struggle exercising dictatorship over both external and internal enemies, along with the basic form of class struggle, which aims to revolutionize and remold workers, peasants, and working intellectuals through cooperation so as to achieve unity and solidarity." End of quotation. And, basically, the DPRK has always continued the line of class struggle under socialism. In October 2012, respected Marshal Kim Jong-un, addressing People's Security Workers, said, and I quote, "The security men should wage a fierce struggle against the enemies on the invisible front, as they did always." End of quotation. And, just looking at the reports that was made in case in A of the famous December 2013 political bureau meeting at which the factionalist clique was destroyed and it was exposed. And it said, now I quote, "The Jang Group weakened the party's guidance over judicial, prosecution, and people's security forces, bringing very harmful consequences to the work for protecting the social system, policies, and people. Such acts are nothing but counter-revolutionary, unpopular criminal acts of giving up the class struggle." And in recent weeks, the DPRK has had a conference of heads of public security stations, and it was stressed that the public security workers should thoroughly apply the party's outlook on the masses of people to public security work so as to more firmly defend the political, ideological position and class position of the country and provide a solid legal guarantee for the comprehensive development of Korean-style socialism. And speaking to the National Defence Ministry on the day of foundation of the Korean People's Army on the 8th of February, respected Marshal Kim Jong-un said, "Shouldering the historic duty of safeguarding the national sovereignty, which could never be defended easily, it has undoubtedly hewn out for the long 76 years the arduous path of fierce political struggle, class struggle, of deciding who prevails over whom." And I think all these quotations go to prove that the DPRK has not abandoned the idea of class struggle against the enemies of socialism. So I will stop there and start taking some questions. I'll try and keep an eye on the chat. Last time the questions came very fast, so regrettably I missed some questions, but we'll make an extra effort this time to make sure I answer all questions. So please put your questions in the chat and I will answer them. Thank you very much for listening. Okay, well maybe there's a bit of a lag with the with the chat. I'll just wait for a bit. While I wait for people to put a few questions, I'd like to stress that to UK-based viewers that we will be having a public meeting on the 25th of May in central London, and that is to report back from my visit to the DPRK and also to report back from the visit to Germany. And there will also be a lecture on the Juche idea by Comrade Alan Bollon. And there will be genuine DPRK souvenirs, such as, let me see if I can find one. These flag badges, these are the genuine article. They're actually made in the DPRK. Nowhere else. They're genuine. They're not Chinese knockoffs. So, you know, please, make your way to Central London on the 25th of May. We'd be informing people of the venue nearer the time, or you can email us and we give you the venue details. I hope people will make an effort. And also, KFA Germany are going to have an event on the 19th of June. To mark the 60th anniversary, the start of work of Comrade Kim Jong-il at the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea. And we'll also remember President Kim Il-sung on the 8th of July, on the 30th anniversary of his passing away. And I'm sure KFA Germany comrades will inform people of this. Right, okay. Right. It says, your Wikipedia says that you are a member of the Communist Party of Great Britain. Are there many Juche idea followers in the party? And is there a German party you support? Well, I was a member of the actual Communist Party of Britain, Great Britain, not the Trotskyite faction that have taken the name of that party. The Communist Party of Great Britain was actually dissolved in 1991 by its last General Secretary, Nina Temple. So, yeah, I mean, I was a member of the old CPGB, what some people like to call the old party, from 1980 to 1987, and it was a thoroughly revisionist party, and they were quite hostile to the DPRK. When I expressed an interest in the DPRK party branch meeting in 1983, one of the local leadership said to me, "Oh, all them," that's how he referred to the DPRK. All them are, they're funny, just like them Chinese. So I think that was the attitude of the CPGB to the DPRK. And in terms of, which German party do I support? Well, it's not really for me to support any German party because I don't actually live in Germany. So, I leave questions of German parties to German comrades, and so do not, endorse any party in Germany. How were prices in Germany compared to the UK? That is hard to say. I think roughly about the same. Some items were cheaper, some were about the same. One or two things perhaps more expensive. But I mean, I would say high, just like the UK. Right. Well, I'm a member of the New Communist Party. They're a party that supports the DPRK. General Secretary Andy Brooks, when he was International Secretary of the New Communist Party, uh, actually met President Kim Il-sung in 1990. And the party has sent people to KFA meetings and pickets, which is why I belong to that party. Where do you recommend you start reading about Juche? Well, I think you should read the little booklets, Juche Answers to 100 Questions. In fact, I may well have a copy. This book, you can get a free download of it also on the internet. I recommend On the Juche Idea by Comrade Kim Jong-il. And of course, yes, thank you, Comrade Anti-Capitalist. Yes, the books I've written myself, such as In Defense of Songam, Korea of Juche, In Defense of Juche Korea. Those books are a must read, strongly recommend. You read them. I'll put a link to my lulu.com author spot. So people can see it. And thank you, Anti-Capitalist, for pointing that out. We have no plans for a joint book project with KFA Germany, but perhaps a book could be written in the future. I would also mention that one or two of my books have been translated into the German language, both by KFA Germany and by KFA Austria. So some of my books are available in German language. Right. Do you support Songun politics within the UK? Well, I mean, the issue doesn't arise because the UK is not a socialist country. I mean, if it was a socialist country, I would strongly support Songun politics as a means of defending British socialism from imperialist encroachment. But we are not a socialist country. However, the basic principle of Songun politics is that the revolution is defended and advanced by the cause of arms. I'm against the idea of a peaceful transition to socialism. So, you could say yes. I sort of support a form of Songun politics in the UK. Yeah, so far with BRICS, I mean, basically, I think some people have jumped the gun on this. The DPRK has made positive comments about BRICS because it is sort of a counterweight to US imperialism and the EU. But as far as I know, there is no actual DPRK application on the table as yet to join BRICS. And in my personal opinion, probably unlikely because the DPRK does not join blocks. It didn't join the Warsaw Pact. It didn't join Comecon. It hasn't joined the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So my perception or assumption is that it won't join BRICS, but that possibly could change. Right, so the next question. How would British Songam differ from Korean Songam? I know it's a very technical question, so no worries if it's hard to answer. Well, I, I think so. Songun can be only applied to Britain in accordance with the conditions of the country and the needs of the country and in the British way. So it would be different to Songam in the DPRK. And as I said earlier, there's very different situation in Britain compared to the DPRK. We're not a socialist country, so I think uh, you know there are very great differences. Okay, just wait. Don't know if it's lagging. Ah, good question. And why do you not support a peaceful transition to socialism? Well, basically, because it is not possible. It is pie in the sky, basically. The existing bourgeois state machine needs to be smashed. You can't have a transition to socialism through parliament. Uh, and some people might balk at this when I say that, but you need to look at, uh, the history of how Parliament came into being, and it was really set up to serve the ruling class. It was a forum for the ruling class to discuss its business. It was not set up to abolish the capitalist system or create socialism. So I think you need to be very clear about that, and to give the example, look at British politics. A few years ago, we had Jeremy Corbyn as leader of the Labour Party, old Jezza, uh, and uh, you, you know, some people had high hopes in him. Some people joined Momentum, and there was a belief that Comrade Corbyn was going to win the election, and he was going to bring about socialism in Britain. And of course, there was a media campaign to uh, and vilify him, and prevent him from being elected, which happened. But let's assume that Corbyn had won the election. What would have happened? Well, the first thing that probably would have happened is the Queen would have probably refused to accept him as Prime Minister. People forget that in Britain, monarchs still have the power to do that. Uh, they can actually choose someone else from the winning party. It doesn't have to be the leader of that party. So the parliamentary road to socialism would have fallen at the first fence. And even if Corbyn had somehow managed to overcome that hurdle and he was in number 10 as prime minister, uh, he would have faced all kinds of attempts to sabotage and derail his policies. From the City of London, who could have had an investment strike, and from senior civil servants whose allegiance is to the bourgeoisie. So, basically, a peaceful transition to socialism is not possible. You just, uh, well, I'm not going to read out about this YouTube account. It's obviously very insulting. It's obviously a troll account, and I had to remove a hostile comment uh, made by an individual from it. Yes. Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that, try not to miss questions. After Korea, what is the best example of socialism? Well, I personally regard the DPRK as the best example of socialism, and there is no substitute for it. However, if you push me, I would say Cuba, but not the present day Cuba, but Cuba in the era of Fidel Castro, and also when Che Guevara was alive and was leading the revolution. I think that was a good example of socialism. Well, I mean, I don't. Looking at the questions, uh, about the troll, I don't think we should take uh, anything, any notice of a malicious troll. Uh, these are just silly, petty criticisms. And yeah, I have been actually out of Pyongyang. On the last trip, we went up to the Kangdong greenhouse vegetable farm, which is not in Pyongyang. And in the past, I've been all over the DPRK. I've been to Mount Pakdu. I've been to Samijong, Pegabong. Uh, I've been twice on the train from the DPRK to Beijing, gone through Sinuiju City. I've been out to the west coast at Nampo. I've been down to Panmunjom and Kaesong. I've been to Sarawon. I've been to the Anti-American Museum at Sinchon. So I have been outside Pyongyang, and yeah, unfortunately, I don't have time to learn Korean, and also, like many British people, I'm not a gifted linguist. British people find it very hard to learn foreign languages. But, okay, on at the 8th and 9th of May, please let. So, if I understand the question from Comrade Felix, and it's good to see you in this chat, uh, that they banned the DPRK flag in Berlin. Is that correct? Do I have any opinions on Oliver Cromwell? That's very interesting. Yeah. Uh, Cromwell was the leader of the English Revolution in the 17th century. It was a bourgeois revolution. It was a bourgeois democratic revolution. You can argue it established the modern parliamentary system. And Cromwell, in my opinion, was a courageous leader. He had King Charles I executed, and I've seen the historical film Cromwell with Richard Harris many times. I think the execution scene in it is quite good when Charles gets executed. And this executioner with a Cockney accent who shouts, "Behold the head of a traitor." But yeah, I mean, Cromwell was very much a founding father of the British of Britain. On the negative side, with the dark side of Cromwell, of course, we cannot forget his terrible treatment of Ireland, which was pretty dire. But there again, he was really a representative of the English bourgeoisie. Yes, yeah. I mean, also Libyan socialism. The Arab socialism of Colonel Gaddafi was quite good. Yes, that's a good idea uh, as well. Right. I hope I've not missed anyone's questions because the questions have suddenly started to pile up. Yeah, I mean, sort of uh, some identity politics movements can be a distraction, and or it can even be uh, uh, divisive, even in some cases. Yeah, and it can distract people from the ultimate goal of liberation from class oppression. Well, I mean, again, to Captain the C anti-capitalist has actually said what I'm just going to say. I mean, I took loads of videos on my phone when I was in Pyongyang. One or two of them have been uploaded to YouTube. In fact, I made a whole video with Lucas Rubio as well. But I say most of these video clips have been uploaded to Facebook or to Telegram channels, so that I mean they are around. Right, James Brown. Do the news streets in the DPRK compare to anywhere in the West? Swansea or Murray Scientist Street? Well, they are absolutely brilliant. And seeing the Hwasong streets, which was not there in 2019, I witnessed that the construction looked of extremely high quality, and yeah, they're far superior to streets in capitalist countries. And I think the thing to uh, remember is, DPRK, you do not see uh, litter or or rubbish on the streets, or dirt on the street, or oil on the streets. It's clean. There's no beggars, homeless, or prostitutes, or drug addicts. It's quite different. And of course, housing is free. I think that is a very big difference. In Hwasong Street, people were given flats free of charge. In central London, it may cost up to £1 million to buy a flat, or even, would you believe, £6,000 per month to rent a flat in central London. Right, sorry, I'd have to scroll back about the art exhibition. Right. Painting cartoon exhibitions could also be organised. You print them out. Yeah, I'm not 100%. You mean this could be organised in the DPRK or outside the DPRK? I mean, a few years ago, in fact, 6 years ago and 5 years ago, KFA UK exhibited DPRK hand posted paintings. But reading your comments over again, you're talking really about an international art exhibition, I believe, that I assume you want the DPRK to host, if I understand. Is that correct? I mean, there's already the April Spring Festival for musicians and other performers, so maybe there could be an art exhibition. This is maybe something, uh, we could put as proposal to the DPRK Cultural Relations Committee. Right, just coming back to the questions, lot of the about the troll. Syria, well, I support the government of President Assad as an anti-imperialist government, a socialist-orientated government, and I support the Ba'ath Party of Syria. I don't know a lot about the Social Nationalist Party of Syria. Favorite British socialist? Well, that's hard question. There was William Morris, who wrote News from Nowhere, who was also a famous artist and also well known for wallpaper. But I mean, he was actually also a very committed socialist and was in the Socialist League. I would also say Harry Pollitt, the General Secretary of the old Communist Party of Great Britain until the 1950s, and R. Palm Dutt, again, who was one of the leaders of the Communist Party of Great Britain. Yes, I agree that everyone who is against me is against us all. Right, so DPRK based up. Yeah, I mean, we could do that. I mean, it's just a matter of resources. A matter of finding resources to organise such an exhibition. And like I say, we have done that in a way. are, uh, by exhibiting DPRK painted posters, a few years ago, but we could look to exhibit other DPRK art. Well, when I mean anti-imperialist, yeah, I mean, uh, I mean, a government that's taking a stand against domination by US imperialism, is trying to forge its own way. Yes, it's very sad about uh, the Xiong DPRK daily channel. Very sad to hear that she has cancer. I would like to take this opportunity to wish her well and hope that she can recover. And one day we'll be back to uploading videos. I think it is a very sad situation, and we should, uh, think of her and send our best wishes. Right. So, I mean, um, has Comrade Kim Jong Un's nephews, has your question been answered satisfactorily? I'm just checking the chat because I'm very nervous about missing questions, because this can easily happen. Right, and I also greet KFA Canada as well, as they're in this this chat. Right. Well, with YouTube channel recommendations, would also say we set up another KFA UK YouTube channel, which we've got uh, videos, uh, from the DPRK on. I would recommend channels like Pack2 TV, personally, myself. That has very good content from the DPRK, uh, and a few other good channels. DPRK now, I think, is actually an anti-DPRK channel. That's an anti DPRK channel, and I also believe it was pointed out to me that DPRK Explained is also hostile. Uh, and yeah, I mean, Telegram is accessible from the US. KFA USA have a channel on Telegram, and there are many uh, 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 you, sort of US users of Telegram. Yes, of course. Sorry, I need to mention that Kim Jong Un's nephews. They have a channel as well as a Twitter feed as well, and there's sort of several other KFA channels which didn't get taken down. Uh, which didn't get taken down. I think KFA Italy are still there. KFA Finland have just started up a a channel, and I think KFA USA also still have a channel. But there's a number of quite other quite good channels. I'll just take a look. I mean, there's Mirai, which is also a good channel. Just to mention. Okay. Do you face much hostility from platforms and governments for being pro DPRK? Well, I think the answer to that is yes. Indeed, yes, there is hostility. In fact, people are going to say that I'm conspiracy theorist, but I don't care. I think, a lot of the trolling on social media is really organised by Western governments, by their intelligence services, and we got to note that uh, there's even a British Army unit, the 77th Brigade, which specialises in psychological warfare on the internet. And also, we've got, you got massive agencies like the US National Security Agency, CIA, GCHQ, and probably others in like the Netherlands and Germany, I'm sure, are active, and I'm sure some of the trolls are sat behind desks in GCHQ, in MI6 headquarters in Langley, Virginia. And uh, in terms of government hostility, well, years ago I was employed by a government agency, the Valuation Office Agency, which is basically whose remit is local taxation. It was nothing to do with defence or security. My job was a property inspector, very boring. They paid me money. And basically, the Sunday Times did a hit piece on me, uh, naming my employer. So I was called to a disciplinary interview and sort of different interrogations and hearings. And they told me that supporting the DPRK and being official delegate of KFA for the UK was, and I remember this well, incompatible with employment in the agency at any level. So if I'd been a tea boy or a messenger or cleaner, I would not have been able to work in the agency. And I think that shows that governments are hostile to the DP, people supporting the DPRK. I mean, my own case proves that, and I think there's cases in other countries where people lost their jobs for supporting the DPRK, and I think hostility to the DPRK doesn't come from ordinary people, but is actually organized. And again, I don't care whether people call it a conspiracy theory, because this is what's going on. The elites don't like the example of the DPRK, and they're trying to shut down the support for the DPRK. In their view, ideally, there should be no support for the DPRK, or it should be limited to people listening to Voice of Korea or something like that. Right. Well, I will uh I will sort of answer the question, which isn't really within the remit of this live stream. But I try to avoid shying away from questions, and uh, also we'll answer the one about the Philippines in a minute. I have noted that one down. And the question about the socialist fascist pipeline, and examples such as Oswald Mosley and Mussolini. Well, with Mosley, he was a chancer. He was actually, in my view, never a socialist. I mean, he was a British aristocrat who changed parties more than once. Do not forget that he was originally in the Conservative Party, then became independent, then went into the Labour Party, Independent Labour Party, and then formed his own new party, which quickly morphed into a fascist party. In fact, the old CPGB, which was very far-sighted, actually warns that Mosley would become a fascist even before he publicly declared himself one. I don't know so much about Mussolini, but I believe he'd actually turned against the Italian Socialist Party in the First World War. He'd taken a pro-war position of supporting the imperialist war. So I don't think either of those show that there is a socialist to fascist pipeline. And socialism and fascism are totally different. Fascism is about suppressing classes, whereas socialism is about liberating the people from capitalism. And fascism never created socialism. It's a myth. All fascist governments served the bourgeoisie. And with regard to the Philippines, I mean, basically, I would support the struggle of the Communist Party of the Philippines and the New People's Army of the Philippines. And I think the late Comrade Joma Sisson was an outstanding revolutionary. And I'd like to see the day when the Philippines is liberated from US imperialism. Right, trying to sort of catch up friend request on Discord. Okay, well, I will take a look at Discord. I have to admit, I only dip into Discord every now and again. I find it a most irritating application. Don't like it at all. So I only sort of pop in Discord about once a month or something. I've got no information about whether these websites will be back up. I mean, I suspect they may reappear at a later date in a different form. Right, I'm just checking to make sure there's uh, no no points that I've missed. Yeah, I'm just see a couple of things about conspiracy theories, and I believe uh conspiracy theories. Well, I think there's the famous quote. I think it was from the American writer Joseph Heller, whose novel Catch 22 became very famous. And I believe the quote was, just because you are paranoid doesn't mean to say that people aren't conspiring against you. And I think that's a very good quote. Right, okay. Well, I'm going to take two or three more questions. Okay. Can you visit the DPRK as a tourist? And as such, at the moment, they're not letting in tourists other than Russian tourists. I visited the DPRK as a delegate of the British Group for the Study of the Juche deer. They basically it was Juche idea followers and friends of people's career who were let in rather than non-ideological tourists. I think the DPRK is going to be open to tourism within the next 6 months. Okay. Well, I will check Discord in 1 or 2 days. I say it's not my cup of tea, so I tend to avoid it. But I will look and accept your request. Right. Does anyone want to ask the last question? How do you personally visit the DPRK? Well, people visit the DPRK as uh, uh, part of a delegation. I think it is possible to go on your own as an individual tourist, and it can be arranged through the one of the DPRK tourist agencies. But really, it is always far better to visit the DPRK as part of an organised group, rather than just one person. What is your? I would have to. I think I am Juche 007 on Discord. I would have to check it. I'm on the different KFA servers. Right. Okay. Well, it's been a great live stream. Many interesting questions. If anyone thinks they haven't answered I haven't answered their question, or there's a question that I've missed, please shout now. Put it in the chat quickly so I can answer it before we close. Okay, so I've got well, I will try and check Discord tonight, but please be advised, I rarely use it. As I say, it's not my sort of it's not sort of my kind of thing. Okay. My doctorate is in socio-politics, and the paper was based on or incorporated my book In Defense of Songun. Okay, well, I think we got through a lot of questions. I'm going to be back in another 2 or 3 weeks. In the meantime, don't don't forget we got the meeting on the 25th, which you can hear a first-hand report of what it's like to visit the DPRK, at which we'll have some real DPRK souvenirs on sale, not Chinese knockoffs. And we'll be having some other activities. We're thinking of maybe a picket of the BBC, certainly a picket of the Yankee Embassy late in June. So please look out for our activities on Telegram. And again, please, look for check out my sort of publications. I'll just put a link to that. 1 minute. I think there's very few genuine DPRK souvenirs that can be bought online. Very few. Okay, well, I say thank everybody for being here, and thanks for all the greetings. And I say I will be back in 2 or 3 weeks, so see you all then. And for British viewers, hope to actually see you in person at one of our events. So goodbye and good night.